Communication with the owner at various levels. I have 8 items up here. Take a couple seconds out of these 8, and if you each would identify what your top 3 priorities are relative to a project, or at least that, because when we approach a project, I can provide a design that'll satisfy any one of these as the top priority, and they may be all different. So you're an engineer, okay? So when you're starting a design, do you have a priority when you're starting a design? We can't satisfy all of them optimally, and I recognize that our goal is to satisfy all of them partially, equally, but if you're an owner, you absolutely have a priority list. If you're a project manager, you have a different list. If you're an architect, you have a different list. If you're a facilities engineer or facilities personnel, you also have a different list. You have to sit down with all parties and figure out really what's the driving factor, get everyone in the same room, and figure out what the heck we're designing to. Okay? If we are bound by 500 tons, then energy efficiency is going to move up to the front. If we're site constrained, then maybe we're going to be bound by spatial. Okay? If we don't have a reduced budget, if it's a state job where we cannot go back for more money, then life cycle is going to lose to first cost. I'll tell you that every time. Okay? South Carolina is not a life cycle state. It is a first cost state. North Carolina, I think, is a life cycle state. But so and you're exactly right. My point is you have to get everybody involved, including facilities. Too often they're left out of the equation, and you have the project manager and the CEO, CFO, who are in charge of delivering a building in budget, and a lot of times that's what their concerns are. And the facilities guys often don't have a say or a voice. When I sit down with facilities people, okay, most of the time, a lot of my competitors don't do this. I sit down with facilities guys and I ask them a bunch of questions to help me understand their capability of operating long-term a system that I designed them. So I always want to know how big is their staff relative to the number of buildings that they have to take care of, number of square footage. What I want to know is I want to know the other types of systems that they have on campus. This would be indicative of of systems that they know how to maintain. I would be hesitant without reassurance to introduce a new system onto someone's campus or facility if they did not know how to, if they didn't already have that building on campus. I want to know their experience. I want to know if their general makeup is 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 years plus. Do they have a lot of turnover? Continuing ed. Technology is changing, and we go to a lot of continuing ed programs that help us keep up with technology. Do they also do that on their end? Do they have a preference? Obviously, if they have a preference, it's because they have familiarity with the system. And then are they familiar with different types of systems? I proposed a design for a college in North Coastal South Carolina, and they flat out told me that they didn't want it because they would not be able to maintain it. And that's all I needed to hear. I didn't push it because I knew if they're not even comfortable with it, why should I force that upon them? It may prove efficient from day one. I guarantee it's not going to be efficient at the end. So basically, the more qualified, the more experienced, the more educated the facility, the more proactive they can be towards their systems, and they can handle a more complex, complicated system. If a guy the less qualified, the less staffed, the smaller facilities, or even if it's outsourced, those guys are going to be reactive. And that's going to help me determine what I'm going to provide for them.